Good morning, folks. You're welcome to another live stream. My last one of 2020, probably my last video of 2020 as well, and I'll be back then in early January with more videos. So in this live stream, I'm going to go through this driving test report sheet. I'm going to explain some of the feedback that the driving test candidate got from his tester, and I'm going to explain some tips and advice that will help this person do better next time and hopefully help you to avoid making the same mistakes. I'll also be going through some of the most common myths to do with the driving test, some very colourful and dramatic conspiracy theories out there about why people fail the test or why, you know, the way the test is operated and all that kind of stuff. So I'll be going through all them there now very soon. And if you have any questions or if you have any queries about driving, anything you want to ask me, my email is up there as well, danetyghe@gmail.com. And you can just let me know here in the comments section, okay? So for those that are here, you're very welcome. For those that are watching along later, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm here to help you. So get in touch if you have any questions, either in the comments, by email, or in the comment section of any of my YouTube videos. So let's get into the myths, okay? Do the driving testers or do the RSA have quotas of people that they have to fail? Just in case too many people pass, and just for crowd control and all that kind of stuff. And maybe a Friday, they might not want to pass anybody on a Friday. So the good news is no, there's no quotas. We're not living in North Korea or Kazakhstan or one of these places, okay? The last time I checked, we're living in a modern EU democracy in Western Europe, and there are no quotas. It's very simple, folks. If you are good enough to pass your test, you will pass your test, okay? If you're not, then you won't. There can be a very thin line, a very small line between someone who is good enough and who has done enough to pass, but they've either been unlucky or perhaps the tester has been a little bit harsh, or maybe the tester made a mistake or two, or judged something in a wrong way. That's all within the margin of human error. That's all within the margin of bad luck, okay? You could also say that someone could be a little bit lucky, or the tester was a little bit more lenient with a person as well, okay? So uh, because this first theory on is there any quotas or do they fail a certain amount, because it's so utterly stupid and utterly ridiculous, and it actually makes me angry, I'm not actually going to spend too much time on it because it is complete and utter bullshit, okay? Bullshit, just in case you didn't hear that. There's no quotas. If you're good enough, you'll pass. If not, you won't. And please bear that in mind, okay? I know it can be frustrating if someone doesn't pass, they feel they've been close, okay? But please, any ideas of quotas, get it out of your head. Let's have more respect and more faith in our civil servants and driving tester service, okay? Next myth then, I will stall if I hit the curb. Or sorry, let me start it again. I will fail the test if I stall, hit the curb, or roll back. The answer is no. You will not stop. You will not fail just because you stall, hit the curb on the reverse or the turnabout, or because you might roll back. Okay, it all depends on what happens in the context of the mistake of stalling, hitting the curb, or rolling back. So if you stall, for example, and you roll back 4 or 5 meters, and there's a pedestrian walking behind you pushing a buggy with a toddler in it, and you hit them, well then you'll probably fail the test then, okay? But if you roll back about 3 or 4 inches on a very, very quiet road with nobody behind you, and you immediately then, once you see the mistake, you get your handbrake up and you move off successfully, well, let's be realistic. Like, you're not going to fail there then. Try not to be so dramatic. Like, try not to be so excessive with your beliefs. It all depends on the context of the situation. So very often the tester will take an overall view of things. Um, 1 or 2 mistakes that might be big in your head is not necessarily going to be a big deal in the tester's head. And if you're a good overall driver and you've proven that throughout the test, you've every chance of making it up and passing the test, even if you stall, hit the curb, or roll back. Okay? Couple of comments in there now, we'll just get to those. So Melville Rebello, thanks Dane for your wonderful videos, you're very welcome. I have passed my test with a clear sheet, that's great, on the second attempt. First attempt I failed with 18 grade 2s. Well, that goes to show folks that you have to get back on the horse. If you have a bad experience, get back up, get back getting lessons, return to your practice. Because this fella here, Melvin Rebello, had a great second test there, a clear sheet, even though he failed the first one by a good amount. So congratulations to you, Melville, and I'm glad to play a small part. So well done on passing. And Wojciech Wrobel there, hi then, sorry for the long email. I thought I had to share my thoughts. Yeah, Wojciech had emailed me about the report sheet there last week. There was an issue with secondary controls where there was a box for a red box, grade 3 box for secondary controls, but looking back I hadn't seen that on other ones. So it was just interesting that there was that someone could fail on not using their heaters and not keeping the windows clear when I thought there was just 4 grade 2s would do that. But so that was just maybe the test sheet has been updated slightly since, I'm not really sure, but the person would have failed anyway because of the 4 grade 2s, even if the red one wasn't there. Willie Eckerslake, first time was a complete balls up. I did a route in Loughrea in Galway and the layout of the town made no sense to me. It was like a magical dimension. Yeah, that's unfortunate, Willie. Second time in Galway City was better, as I knew it better. So I hope you got on well the second time, Willie. It is always good to be familiar with the route you're doing and get driving lessons in that area. So thanks for sharing that, Willie. Let me know if you have any questions. Back to the myths then. So some people have this misconception that if they see the tester writing or tapping, they don't really do any writing anymore. It's they have a tablet now where they'll tap the thing. Some learner drivers seem to be of the opinion that, oh, well, the driving tester is tapping his iPad. Oh, well, obviously that means I have to be failing my test. Like, sure, why? What else would he be doing? Would he be doing? Try not to think of that, folks, because the driving tester could be doing anything with his iPad. He could be adjusting the settings on it, for example. He could be only giving you grade 1 marks, okay? And yes, he may well be giving you a grade 2 mark. But remember, just 1 or 2 grade 2 marks is not the end of the world. If you get 8 grade 2s and no grade 3s, you can still pass your test. Like, you don't fail just because the tester is tapping on his iPad. What you have to do is don't worry about the tester tapping his iPad. Just focus on the road. Focus on your mirrors. Focus on what you have to be doing ahead of you. Because as I said, he could be doing anything with his iPad there. He could be changing his settings, changing the volume, or just giving you grade 1s. Okay, so try not to worry about that. Focus on what you're there to do, which is pass the test. Some people then feel that they feel hard done by in the result of the test if they fail. So they see that as, maybe there might be quotas, maybe the tester didn't see this or didn't see that. The thing with that, and the hard done by option there is kind of related to the quotas. There's no smoke without fire, and I believe in these things, they usually even themselves out. So for one person could feel hard done by, the next person could have maybe been a little bit lucky and the tester might have given them the benefit of the doubt. Okay, so try and bear that in mind. There is no smoke without fire. Sometimes it's hard for the learner driver to remember everything. Like I've met so many people after a driving test when they failed as well as passed, like, because nobody, you're not going to get 100% record, despite some ridiculous claims by certain driving schools in Ireland. But I'll get to that in a second. It is very hard when I ask the learner drivers, well, what do you think went wrong? I know it's hard for them to give a detailed breakdown just after the driving test because their head is all over the place. So it is very difficult sometimes to kind of pinpoint what went wrong. And learner drivers that have failed and just after the test they do struggle to remember this junction or that junction. So remember, folks, if you do fail a test, I know it's an unfortunate and it's a bad experience, but there is no smoke without fire. There could have been things that happened that you might not have noticed, but the driving tester would notice. It's like when I'm doing a lesson with someone, I could go on a 5 or a 10 minute quiet drive with someone where I'm in the passenger seat And I say, okay, now I'd like you to drive here, there, wherever. I'll tell you next left, next right, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll park up. Then 5 minutes later, I'll turn to the learner then and I'll say, what do you think went wrong there? And they'd be like this, didn't check my mirrors, even though there could have been 5 or 6 other things. So when you're a learner driver, it is hard to actually remember everything because you're focused on driving and you're not probably trained to spot the little delicate marks that I would or the tester would. Okay, so just try and bear that in mind. Remember, there's no smoke without fire. Driving too slow then. If you are doing your test, please don't make any special effort to drive like a 90-year-old on a Sunday afternoon. Okay, just drive normally, drive with confidence and decisiveness. Because if you start driving extra slow because of your driving test and you put on some ridiculous act that you're driving slower than you normally would, well then, if I was a tester and I saw some idiot doing that, I would probably think this guy has no, or this girl has no confidence in their ability to control the car. So why should I, as a tester, have confidence in them to give them a full license if they can't be confident enough to drive in a normal way like everybody else is driving? I'd also be thinking like, well, this person is driving really, really, really slow for some strange reason. Maybe that means they're so conscious of the fact that they drive so fast in real life that they're putting on this kind of fake act for me here now. So what does that tell the tester? Like, does that tell the tester that you don't have any confidence in your ability to drive in a normal, decisive manner? So you're putting on some kind of act for him or her. I mean, that's not going to look good, you know. So just drive normal. If it's safe to go, just go. If the speed limit is 50, well then give us some juice. Get up to 51, 52. Yes, that means breaking the speed limit by 1 or 2 kilometers. Yeah, shock horror. That's what you do. Um, Pull out if it's safe to pull out, but be conscious of the speed of other cars and how close they are. If you're genuinely not sure, just wait. Like, but it's the tester's going to, like, if you're a bit overcautious once or twice, it shouldn't be a big deal. But if you're consistently being overcautious, he or she is not going to have confidence in you, and it's going to be reflected at the end. Okay. Another myth: if I take a wrong turn, I fail the test. No, that's not correct. If you take a wrong turn and you don't make any other mistakes or pull out across somebody or stop suddenly in the middle of a junction or whatever like that, as long as you don't do anything crazy in the middle of the wrong turn, you'll be fine. The tester's job is just to get you back on track and not to give you a mark for taking the wrong turn, because it could be, down to nerves or stress or something like that. And if it happens, it will probably only happen once. But you have to recover and get on with it. Like, don't dwell on it and just move on. Another myth then: I have more chance of passing if I use the instructor's car as opposed to my own car. Now, when I say instructor's car, I mean the driving tutor, the driving teacher, like say me, for example. Some people have this strange confusion. They seem to think an instructor is a tester and a tester is an instructor. I noticed this in the comments section. An instructor is me, the teacher. A tester is the person who tests you, the tester. Okay, so some people seem to use these words interchangeably, but they're very different words. So that just so there's no confusion. It doesn't make a difference. Okay, it does not make a difference if you use the driving instructor's car or if you use your own car. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what your driving ability is, how you perform in the driving. Okay, the tester doesn't care if it's the instructor's or your own car. The tester is going to be in so many cars that day, he's not going to be bothered which car he gets into for you. So whatever car you feel most comfortable in, use that car. If you're worried that there might be a technical issue with your own car, well then you would be better off using the driving instructor's car then. But if you're more comfortable in your own car, and your own car or your mother's or father's car, whatever, is easier to drive, easier to do hill starts in, whatever, then use that car. Please don't go thinking you have to use a driving instructor's car to have more chance of passing. That's not the way it works, not in the real world. Some other myths I hear then: you have to go with certain driving instructors because the testers will know if you use a different instructor. They'll fail you and all this kind of nonsense. No, that's not true. That's complete nonsense. Again, you have to have faith in the system. You have to have faith in the driving testers and in the RSA. They are professional people. They're professionally trained. They don't have any special preference using a certain instructor's car, or if they see a driver in a certain instructor's car, or they're going to pass them, that's, you know, not, it's not even worth entertaining. The only thing you have to do is turn up in a car that's legal and safe, and they'll test you in a professional way. Okay. Um, just on certain instructors and instructors' cars. Some driving schools, I think the ISM and maybe airport driving. So I'm not 100% sure about airports. I don't really know much about them, but there are certain national driving schools that have this claim that they pass, that anybody that goes with them has a 90% or 90%, 95% pass rate. That is complete and utter rubbish. Absolute fiction. I don't know how anybody could have a 90% pass rate with someone. On my In my best days and my best month, I mean, I wouldn't give you a week, because I could have a week when 5 out of 5 pass or 6 out of 6 pass. I would have those weeks, but if we included in the overall scheme of things in a month or in a year or something like that, I could never in all my life claim to have 90% of people passing a test that do it. It's absolute nonsense. I don't know how anybody can claim that with any sense of credibility. Yeah, so try not to fall for any of that kind of rubbish. You go and do your lessons and do your test and do your best. Um, Everybody, there's a certain amount of people that will pass, a certain amount of people will fail. Um, don't get drawn in by snake oil sales techniques like that. I would say on average for me 65% of people pass, but I don't, to be honest with you, I don't really give a toss how many people pass. My aim is to um, provide good free driving lesson videos, and hopefully that the people will be able to use these skills for life, not just a test, because the test is just one random test on one particular day. So just bear that in mind. 90% pass rates, give me a break. Like, last myth then. If I get the theory wrong, well, I obviously failed my test. No, again, a complete misconception. If you get all your theory and all your questions wrong, it does not mean you fail your test. You may lose a mark, but you have plenty of opportunity to make up for it. You don't fail just because you get your theory wrong. You may get a grade 1 or a grade 2 mark, but that's it. You still have every opportunity to pass the test, okay? Obviously, it's better if you know your theory, and if you get off to a good start. It shows confidence. You'll have confidence, the tester will have confidence in you, but just because you get your theory wrong, it's not the end of the world. You can still pass the test. Okay, so I hope those incredible that incredible myth busting exercise I did there, I hope that cleared up a few things for you, because some of the stuff I've heard over the years, like, it's almost surreal, like the ridiculous myths that get blown out there. Anyway, let's get back to some comments then, folks, and then I'm going to get onto the test sheet and we'll see how we are. So I had mentioned a few comments there. Willie, I think, was the last one. Damien Fenton then. What is your advice to someone who passed their test over 2 years ago but haven't driven since? My advice there, Damien, is, first of all, I hope if it's 2 years you've went and got your full license, first of all, because those certificate of competencies you get when you pass your test, they only last 2 years. So first thing, make sure you have your full license in your hand. Second thing, I'm going to give you advice here, Damien, is to do what I would do with someone on the first lesson. Okay, I would go to a quiet car park or a very quiet road. But even before I do that, I would get into the car. I would go through the controls, the heaters, the wipers, the lights, all that kind of stuff. I would gently press the pedals, in a maybe test the brake on a slight downhill, for example. Put in the clutch, take it out, get used to the clutch, get used to everything basically. The pedals, the controls of the car. Go around the car park with someone with you if it makes you feel better, and gradually get used to it, and then gradually go out on quieter roads, and then build yourself up. If you wanted to get 1 or 2 refresher lessons, you could certainly do that. That would be a good idea. But that would be my advice to you, Damien, to get back on the horse, okay? And the best of luck to you if you're just getting back to driving after passing. You're obviously a pretty good driver. I mean, if you pass your test, you're well able to drive. So just kind of take it in small, steady steps. Because just because you pass a test, it doesn't mean you're driver of the century. You're probably still learning as you go. Passing the test doesn't make you the perfect driver, but it shows you've got good ability. Andrew Lee, booked my test for January 15th in Dundalk. Fingers crossed. Well, Andrew, as we say in Irish, Gunyairi Lat. That's good luck. My email is there. danetyghe@gmail.com. Email me if you have any questions. And the best of luck to you, Andrew. I hope you do it. And next then we have Willie again. Willie Eckerslake. I would also personally like to stress the importance of getting the questions right at the start and making a good impression. Yes, Willie, it is good. It makes a good impression, but even if you get one or two or a few more questions wrong, don't stress about it. Like you can still make up you can still make it up in the rest of the test. But it is, of course, it's a lot better to have to make a good impression and to show the tester that you've done your study, that that you have a good knowledge of the theory and road science. It's good for the candidate and it's good for the tester. PMEI84. Hi, how do you know when to merge into traffic when entering a road? Instructor always said I was being too careful. Tester said I was too bold. I'm foreign. Drive for 18 years and failed my test. You see, when you're merging into a road, like let's say from a like onto a dual carriageway, like I would normally say to people, if it's quiet, to stay in the building up speed lane. What do you call the lane? You know, the lane that you're joining. Like what I'm saying is don't go on to the dual carriageway until as late as possible, so you can build up a speed that suits the speed of the rest of the cars already in the dual carriageway. That's what I'd say if it's quiet or reasonably quiet. But if it's a little bit busier, you may have to kind of spread that out a bit and keep the indicator on, keep a check on the mirrors, just straddle the right side of the lane that you're in. Don't barge across now. Just straddle the lane a little bit, and once you have your indicator on, that means you're communicating with people as to what your plans are. So try and make sure that you do that, and then hopefully someone will let you out. You just have to be hopeful of that, and usually they will. But as always, it's hard to say. It depends on the unique situation. S Zombie there has a test in January. Best of luck to you, S Zombie. You're worried about it, yeah? Well, that means you're taking it seriously. Then that means it means a lot to you. And if you are nervous or stressed about something, if you turn that you can turn that into a positive by using that energy and turning it into concentration. So if you are stressed or worried, there's a good chance then that you may well be more likely to concentrate hard and concentrate properly on the day. Okay, but if you get lessons and get practice, you should have a great chance. And remember, even if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. You can always go again, and nobody dies anyway at the end of a test, good or bad. Pablo, is it? Pablo. Had my test yesterday, passed with 3 faults. That's very good. Pablo, congratulations. Sounds like you're a very good driver and you prepared very well, so well done to you. S Zombie then is looking for some guidance, has a test where, well, I can't really, I don't know what I can say to you, S Zombie. I can wish you luck. My email is up there if you have any questions. You can ask me here in the comment section. It depends on what you're worried about, what weaknesses you feel you have. Remember, you don't have to be the perfect driver. You just have to be a good, half-decent driver. The testers are not looking for perfection. Remember that. Pablo again, he said I got one fault, sorry, for doing a turnabout in 5 rather than 3, and he wanted 3. You don't have to do it in 3 turns, okay? But having said that, if it's safe and if it's practical, you really should be doing it in 3 turns then. So in your case there, Pablo, maybe the road was wide enough for 3 and you were a little cautious and you did it in 5. Possibly. I don't know, I don't know the person, I don't know their area, but I'm guessing that's what it is from my own experience anyway. But even having said that, even though he got a mark on the turnabout, Pablo here, he was still able to make it up, and he was still able to have a really good day, even though he allegedly made a mistake on the turnabout. And that just goes to show you have to keep going. Even if you make a mistake, don't dwell on it. Keep going, and you can make it up. Let's see another couple of comments, folks, and then we're going to get to the report sheet here on screen. Okay, so Mulder X then. believe me, them testers are out there to fail you. Go and look at the statistics. 45% of people in Ireland have failed. It's a money racket. Yeah, this is another one of the conspiracy theories that's not true, okay? It just comes from someone who probably feels hard done by, or someone who likes conspiracy theories, okay? The testers are not out there to fail you, okay? Just trust me on that, okay? I'm doing this a long time. Been around the block. They're not out there to fail you, okay? That's completely untrue, okay? The statistics: 45% of people in Ireland have failed. Yeah, that sounds about right, actually. 45% of people. It depends on the test centre now as well. You know, some test centres, like there's, for some reason, Ennis in County Clare has a really high one, and I think as a Churchtown in Dublin has a very, very low one. But that could be down to the local area. Like Ennis could be a very easy town to drive in, very flat, nice wide streets, all that kind of stuff. If 45% of people fail, it's because 45% of people are not good enough to pass the test on the day, okay? And they didn't get lessons, maybe they didn't practice enough, or maybe they just made mistakes. Like what does this person expect? Do you want 70% of people to pass when they shouldn't be passing? That's not the way it works in the real world. I often find, of the people that fail, so we'll say the 45% of people that fail there, okay? So of that 45%, there's always going to be 15 or 20% of people within that 45% who are complete chancers, who just have no intention of getting lessons. They just turn up maybe on the day, or maybe they got a cancellation and they didn't have a chance to get lessons or prepare or something like that. So within the 45%, please don't go around thinking that 45% of people are all really, really great drivers. They're driving examiners in disguise, and they just fail because of injustice or something like that. Within that 45%, I guarantee you, there's probably decent drivers that didn't quite match up on the day, but there's also drivers who are just completely chancing around or were completely unprepared. So anyway, I'm reluctant to give ridiculous conspiracy theories like that too much time anyway. So moving on anyway. Let's see, where are we? S Zombie, because worried of new route. Yeah, I know what you mean, a new route and all that, or a new test route, whatever like that. But you have to understand it from the tester. It's like, if I was a tester, which I'm not, I would be hoping that the person I'm testing will be a good driver in their home route or in their local area, just like they would be in a different area. So you have to see that as a challenge. You have to prove to the tester and prove to yourself that you're able to drive on any kind of road, whether you know it or whether you don't. I know it's easier to drive somewhere where you know, but remember, it's a test. You have to stand up and be counted, and if you concentrate and do your best, you'll have every chance. Just another comment there. Then I'll get to the report sheet then. Wojciech Vrobel, if you are in the instructor's car, it may be possible for the tester to let you do something more dangerous than they would in their own car, because they can stop you with dual controls. Um, as we say in Polish, może, but that's maybe. But if you have that type of thought going into your head into the test, you have to ask yourself, are you really ready for a test if you're thinking like that? Like, I remember one time actually a driving tester, sorry, used the dual controls in my car. There was a particular junction in Wexford. Um, it's up behind Tesco. For anybody from Wexford, they'll know it's a bit of a hill stop sign, yield sign behind Tesco. It used to be a yield sign back in the day, and they now brought it into a stop sign to make it safer. So there's a fella going up, taking a right turn. It's a blind right turn on a yield, and realistically, you should be going into first gear and doing it in first gear. Um, and what this person did was, he wasn't familiar with it. Maybe I might not have had time to do that with him, because you get some chancers coming to you the week of the testing. You don't have time to do everything. So I think, to cut a long story short, he tried to do this blind junction in second gear, a blind right turn crossing two lanes, and the tester put out his hand, and he ended up kind of stamping on the brake pedal and all that, and it was a bit of a jolt forward. And the tester explained, I had to stop you there because you're literally pulling out there at a blind junction without any caution. Like he needed to kind of roll into first gear and kind of creep up bit by bit by bit and then go. So yeah, but that was just reminding me of the story before, and obviously that guy failed, by the way, as well. So yeah, I suppose the tester could do that. But like I said, yeah, that wouldn't be a factor that you'd be thinking about for a test, because if you're doing a test, you don't want to be thinking about dual controls. Like, if someone is test ready, you know they shouldn't be needing dual controls as a precautionary measure. Okay, one more comment there, Sarah 93. Before I'm going to get back, I'm going to get started on this test sheet here now and give you some feedback that the guy said to me. My cousin's son, Sarah says, my cousin's son was ready for his test. Excuse me. Arrived to do the test, and the tester saw there was no tax disc displayed on the car. He left it at home. Test got cancelled. Cancelled. Everybody, please read final checklist. Yep, that's good advice there by Sarah. It has happened before. I remember one time actually, I missed the tax disc on someone's car. I remember asking him, "Is everything okay with the tax, insurance, NCT?" And the guy said, "Oh yeah, everything's fine, everything's fine." And I didn't actually check it because I trusted him that he said, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine." But it was his ma's car, and his ma didn't realize that the tax disc had gone out of date. And I took responsibility for that, and I gave him 2 free lessons, or 3 free lessons to make up for it actually. So yeah, it goes to show you, I make mistakes as well. I've made plenty of mistakes in this. And in fact, I'm thinking of making a video. I have a list of my mistakes I made over the years. Like when I stupidly missed that tax disc from a fella. I was going back about 7 or 8 years ago now. So mistakes happen. Like, nobody's perfect, Even though I am the Great Dane, I have made mistakes. But back to Sarah's comment, yeah, very good advice there. Make sure you read that checklist as well about what you need to have. Like, you shouldn't have your windows tinted, insurance disc, tax disc, tires in good order, brake lights working, all that kind of stuff. I have in my last live stream, or the one before the last one, I had a list of the checklist up on top here. Okay, but certainly good advice. Make sure your car is properly taxed, insured, and NCT'd if possible, and make sure you have the discs to reflect that. So thanks for that, Sarah. Now, this test sheet here we're going to go through. And first of all, the person here, as you can see, he didn't fail by a huge amount. He failed by a bit now, but this can be easily rectified. There's no grade 3s, so that's a good thing. There was no serious grade 3s. So here's what the tester told him anyway, according to this candidate. Here's what the tester told him. He said that he missed the blind spot a few times. So we're going to get onto that there now. Observation moving off there, you can see. He missed the blind spot a few times, and once or twice he got the blind spot, but it was kind of like this. It was kind of like a half blind spot, or as I call it in the lessons, a gangster's blind spot. You have to get a proper look over your shoulder, which I'll get to now in a minute. The other thing then, he said, the parking was not really good at the end. Now, you're not going to get tested on parking as such, but like, all test centers are going to have a car park of some type, and if you don't park properly at the end and you accidentally hit the curb, or you're over the lines too much, you are going to lose marks, and that's the very, very last mark there on the bottom. That's where that one happened there. And then also he said the turnabout was pretty good, but he didn't look around enough. So I often find sometimes on the turnabout, people, they're so focused on doing it in the most competent way possible that they forget to kind of keep the head up and keep looking around, and sometimes they end up looking down at the gear stick, or they don't look behind reversing. So we'll get to that, but we'll get down to that in a minute. But they're the things that the tester said to him, and the things that he remembered. Okay, so let's go from the top anyway, from this driving test report sheet from 2 weeks ago from a candidate who sent it in. And as always, the name and details and all that stuff, needless to say, will remain private. I would never give out anybody's name, details, or location for any of these report sheets. Okay, it's just for illustration purposes, to help you as well and to help that person. Position in traffic lanes. So he wasn't really 100% sure where this happened, regards position. So let's talk about traffic lanes. So that could be, for example, on a one-way street, where maybe there's 2 or 3 lanes. So there could be a one-way street, and there could be 2 lanes, like an urban dual carriageway, if you know what I mean, like a slow-moving urban dual carriageway. And I often find this, people kind of straddle the left or straddle the right-hand side of the lane. It will be a fault. You have to try your best to stay in the center of your lane, okay? The center. And don't straddle either side. And also watch out for hatched lines and cycle lanes, because I just reminded her yesterday, I was given a lesson yesterday to a girl, and we were coming down to the roundabout, and she went too much like this. I'm going left here, like, sorry, oh, the camera's small. She went so much like this, like she went really far to the left that the front of the car was nearly like 9 or 10 o'clock, if that makes sense, and she was completely in the cycle lane. I had to kind of guide her out. So that was another area where traffic lanes might be an issue, or even roundabouts, which we're going to get onto now in a sec. So just watch out for that, but also watch out for the road markings. Be careful of the arrows. Make sure you're in the correct lane, and make sure you're obeying all signs and road markings, because they can help tell you which lane you want to be in then, for the direction you're going. Position at roundabouts, again, it could be the wrong lane. It could be like that incident with the cycle thing, as I said there a couple of moments ago. It could be, not being in the center of the lane. It could be, if you're going straight on the roundabout, maybe you didn't keep left enough. Some people, when they're going straight, they literally tend to just cut through the middle of the roundabout, whereas you want to kind of go in a little kind of like a semicircle if you're going straight. Could be loss of position of some type there, not obeying road markings. It's hard to say because it's a very general mark, that one. Observation and moving off. Well, we've already said that it's basically they're not doing the blind spot. So on one or two occasions, he either didn't get the blind spot, like forgot the blind spot when you're moving off from a parked position, or he got it, but he just gave a small check like that out the side. You can't do it. You have to give a proper one. So the shoulder has to come right out like that, and your head has to go like that. So you're looking out the back passenger window. You also have to refresh it. So even if you do get a good blind spot check and it takes you an extra 4 or 5 seconds to move off, make sure you refresh it, because your initial one will have gone out of date by that stage. Observation turning left. So this one, I don't know, it could have been mirrors maybe. It could have been not moving the head enough. I often find when someone is going left, I sometimes find, not necessarily often, I sometimes find that they look right the whole time, like this. And then when they eventually go left, then there's a chance that they get surprised because there could be a pedestrian about to cross the road or something like that. So even if you're going left, don't stare to the right. Try and break up the looks like this at least a few times, so you can be aware of parked cars, pedestrians, and pedestrian crossings on the road you're going into, okay? Next one then is reaction to hazards. Again, I mean, God knows what this one was, because reaction to hazards is such a broad general area. But there's 2 marks anyway, and usually this comes down to not reading the road ahead. Maybe looking in the mirrors too much, I don't know, maybe braking late, maybe having to swerve out a little bit late because you didn't move out gradually for parked cars. Maybe got a little close to parked cars, but usually it probably is down to some kind of a late reaction, like not braking enough or not moving out gradually enough. I have videos on all this. Just type into YouTube Dane Tyghe hazards. You'll see the video on that. But you have to plan ahead. Like for example, if you're driving along, think about, like, okay, I'm on the downhill. There's a school ahead. There's a yellow box up there. There's a bus stop up there. There's a speed bump further up. There's there's a car looking to pull out, but he doesn't have right away. You have to be thinking ahead. Okay, look, planning ahead, thinking ahead. That's why someone said about nerves earlier on. If you channel that energy, if you channel that nerves into this here, into focusing and concentrating, you'll find that you'll be so busy concentrating, you won't have time to be nervous. Okay, so that's my advice on that. Clearance then with stationary vehicles. Well, this is probably related to the other one up above there, hazards. Like, if someone gets a mark on clearance for stationary vehicles, it just, in simple language, it just means that they got too close to cars that are parked. Now, I don't know how this happened. I don't know why. I'm guessing he didn't move out enough. I'm guessing he maybe stopped too close to the back of a car. I'm also guessing that maybe, potentially, he was going too fast when the cars were too close on the left. So sometimes, like, it's always ideal to try and leave a car door length or a meter from the car on the left. But sometimes that's not always possible, so you have to kind of make up for it then by going slower and maybe dropping a gear on, like, really tight streets, because you can't give a door length on every single street. Like, it's not practical. Next, progress. Well, this is going too slow. So progress at roundabouts. He didn't move off quick enough at the roundabout, or when he was going around the roundabout, he was going too slow, not being decisive enough. The same at traffic lights. Maybe he was a bit slow moving off. I think he said he might have used the handbrake a bit. I think he might have said he might have been a little bit slow letting the handbrake off. I think, or maybe that's someone else. Sorry, but it's equally relevant anyway. So progress at lights like means he could have been just too slow moving off. Maybe a bit slow getting the bite. I find sometimes, and I always watch out for this if I'm at traffic lights with people, that someone could be waiting at the traffic lights, and I remember one fella. We were at the top of the queue, and he was waiting in neutral gear, and he had all his feet completely on the ground. Now we had the handbrake up, so the car was safe enough. So, but he was waiting in neutral with all feet on the ground. So I'd be thinking like there, if you're waiting like that, you're going to have a fair bit of work to do to move the car when the light eventually turns green. So you're going to have to put the clutch in, put the car into first gear, get a bit of juice, bring the clutch up, let the handbrake down. That's a lot of work to be doing if you're first in the queue. So I always say to people, wait in first gear if you're at or near the top of the queue, because you're able to move off a little bit quicker. Wait in first gear with your clutch in, gear stick in first gear, and right foot just kind of hovering over the accelerator, just so you're ready to go, like, because you have to be ready to go. There's no point in sitting there like you're in a restaurant or something like that. You're not going to be stopped for very long. Also at lights, you may get a mark on progress at lights if the light goes green and you're taking a right turn. Well, then if you're the first car, you have to roll up into the center of the junction there, because if you stay back behind the line, you're going to lose marks there for progress, or maybe even position turning right at lights. Okay, so anything to do with progress is the tester saying that the driving test candidate was driving too slow, was too hesitant, or was too indecisive. Next is vehicle controls and secondary controls. So this is something here to do with one of the controls in the car, like maybe the wipers or the heating usually. So maybe the person didn't use the wipers properly when it was raining. Maybe he left the wipers on too long when the rain had stopped and the wiper blades start making a squeaking sound or something like that. Maybe he let the windows fog up, and he couldn't see out the front or the passenger windows. And that could be a serious mistake. You have to keep your windows clear. Okay, you have to keep your fans on and windows clear. I know there was some confusion a few weeks ago. When there was a candidate who misinterpreted the recirculation button. So you must not have the recirculation button on, because that recirculates the air in the car. That's usually a symbol near your heating, where you'll see a symbol of a car or an arrow, kind of like a recycling arrow. So do not have that on, because that recirculates the old air in the car. Make sure you have that off. On my car, it's default off anyway. So because you have to take fresh air in from outside to for proper ventilation during these COVID times. So anyway, there was something there with the heaters or the wipers or maybe even the lights that was a mistake, and the tester gave them a mark. Traffic controls then at the lights. Well, if I see that, usually it's to do with the driving test candidate not obeying an amber light or a red light. Now, because he only got a grade 2 mark, which is a blue one, I'm guessing he went through an amber light when he could have had time to stop. Okay, because that's usually what that is anyway. Now, it could be a flashing amber arrow light where he didn't yield, maybe, but he didn't say anything to me about that, but I'm only guessing. So the turnabout and parking we already dealt with. He did a fairly good job on the turnabout, but he didn't look around enough, and he probably didn't look behind, reversing on the turnabout. And there was an issue with parking. He didn't go into detail on the parking, but there was some issue with parking at the end. It's not that they don't ask you to park in the test necessarily. They'll ask you to park on the left, like parallel to the curb, but they won't ask you to like parallel park or bay park or anything like that. But you're being tested in the driving test right up until the end of the driving test. So right up until you parked the car at the end. So there was some issue where he wasn't between the lines or he hit the curb at the end. Didn't really matter too much anyway, because he chalked up so many marks at that stage he'd failed anyway. So that's that report sheet. So like I've seen a lot worse. If he can just improve a little bit on position, progress, and observation there, he'll have it in the bag next time. And hopefully he will. Okay, so I hope that cleared up a few things for you. Let's get back to some comments then, and then we'll have our little summary of the legendary myths up there, and we'll call it a day there then. So I think Sarah was the last comment. Susha, hang on, no, where's that on? Here we go. So Suhasmeda I was asked this, how to check the level of brake fluid and level of coolant. Excuse me. Yeah, so that's part of the technical checks in the test. So the tester will, ask you to open the bonnet, and he'll ask some things like where's the oil, how do you check the oil level, this kind of stuff. So with the brake fluid, there should be a little minimum and maximum mark on the reservoir bottle, for want of a better phrase. So you can see there that it's if it's getting a bit high or getting a bit low. You'll also know if there's a problem with the brakes. There could be a warning light on the dashboard or something like that. And the coolant as well, you should be easily able to see between the minimum and the maximum marks there on the coolant. And again, if there's a problem, you should be probably be a warning light on the dashboard as well. You don't go, whatever you do, don't go opening the brake fluid lever anyway, because that's a fairly dangerous corrosive substance, and it's best left to qualified mechanics to deal with. You just have to point it out and explain if it's below the minimum or max, okay? And the coolant, the same with the coolant. If ever you're opening the coolant lid on the car, just make sure you do it very slowly, because it can be pressurized, and it can kind of release a lot of steam very quick if you open it too quickly. And just a quick tip there as well, when you're being asked the technical checks like the brake fluid, the coolant, the oil, where's the water, all that kind of stuff, just point to the things. Don't touch them, okay? Just in case they're hot. The tester does not want you to touch any parts of the engine for health and safety reasons, okay? Bukoshi Gumede or something. I'm due on the 31st December. You're due? I thought you were talking about being pregnant there for a second, but I'm guessing your driving test is due, yeah? My challenge, I was driving too slow, trying to be cautious. Oh God. Thanks to you, my next lesson, I am going full throttle. God almighty, that's not exactly the type of comment I want to read on a Saturday morning. But I'm grateful for you for tuning in. And anyway, Bukasi, but let me just clarify this, just so there's no confusion. First of all, the best of luck with your driving test, okay, on New Year's Eve. What a great way that would be to sign off a horrible year 2020. So good luck to you. My email is there. Email me if you have any questions, or if you want me to go into any more detail with you, I'll email you back same day if I can. Yeah, going too slow. I mean, I find this a lot. I find this a lot with, more so with people who are not originally from Ireland. Let's say people from India or Pakistan. I've had a good few of those over the years, and it doesn't matter to me where they're from. People are people. I don't care where anyone's from. But it just seems to be that people who are from India or Pakistan or these type of places, they seem to have this illusion that if you drive really 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 slow, the tester will have this sudden epiphany that, oh, this guy's pretending to be a slow driver. What? He must be a great driver then. I'm going to give him a pass. Folks, in the real world, that's not the way it works, because as I said at the start of the stream, if you're driving too slow, he's not going to have confidence in you. He's going to feel that maybe you're insecure, that you can't control the car properly based on the conditions. So he's looking for you to drive normally, okay? Now, at the same time there, Bukashi, you don't want to go full throttle, because then you're going the other extreme, okay? You have to drive based on the road conditions. So if it's a good straight road, get up to the speed limit. But at the same time, if it's a tighter road with a lot of potholes and a lot of parked cars and a school sign ahead, well then you don't really want to go full throttle there, okay? So I know that's probably not what you're getting at, but you have to just base your driving on the conditions that you see ahead of you, and not go from one extreme to the other, because that doesn't make any sense. IO BK, are all the theory and questions in the Get It book? Most of them would be, yeah. That's Get It by Brian O'Leary, a great little book. I'm actually thinking of writing a book myself as well, so I'm hoping to have more information on that next year, where I will be writing a book on learning to drive and passing the test. But more information on that next year, hopefully. It's one of my New Year's resolutions. But a great book anyway is Get It by Brian O'Leary. Do I have a copy of it here? Let me see. I don't think so. No, so I'm not going to spend all day looking there now. I might have given it to one of my learner drivers, but it's a great book. Most of the questions will be in that, yeah, but not all of them. The best thing you can do is look at the rules look over the rules of the road book. if anybody wants me to email them I have like a Microsoft Word kind of thing where 49 or 50 of the common questions, but you know you can't get every single question. You just have to do your best and read up on the rules of the road book, and you can also download them online as well. Like if you just Google theory questions for the driving test Ireland, you'll get some you'll be able to download them, or you'll get some websites of certain driving schools that have them on their website. Okay. um but best of luck to you anyway, IOBK, in that, okay? And again, IOBK, my instructor says tests are much shorter because of COVID guidelines. I heard maybe 30 minutes, and that's not news to me anyway. I've been doing tests now in Wexford since COVID, and all the tests are exactly the same as they were before. In fact, in some ways, they're a little bit longer because of the hand washing and the hygiene stuff. But really, to be honest with you, the difference in the tests pre-COVID and post-COVID are fairly minimal now, in fairness. Bukashi there, Gomede again. If I may ask, most people say you won't be able to pass the test if you don't drive, like if you don't drive frequent. Okay, let me just decipher that now. I think you're saying that you won't pass the test if you don't practice and drive frequently, like practice frequently. Yeah, well, it's hard to say that definitively, but you have a better chance of passing the test if you drive regularly and practice regularly in your own time, okay? But it does depend on the person. The more practice you get, the better, and the more lessons you get too. Practice and lessons kind of mixed in together is the best balance. Arif Mahmoud, this week I passed my ADI Stage 2 driving test. Your videos helped me a lot to learn exact driving. Thanks very much for all. God bless you, and happy Christmas as well. Well done, Arif Mahmoud. Looks like you're going to be on the road there to being a driving instructor, and you're very welcome, and best of luck to you. My email is there if you have any questions, and glad to play a part, and well done on your Stage 2. Let's see who's next here then. IOBK, one of my biggest issues is roundabouts and identifying when I can go and when I can't go on roundabouts. Yeah, that's a common one. So you need to be thinking here of the two S's, okay? The two S's. Speed and space, okay? So what speed is the other car going at, and how fast can you take off? And space, how much space have you got? Is the other car 20 meters away, or is he 50, 60 meters away? Is the other car going down a hill, and are you taking off on an uphill? These are all things you have to take into consideration. One thing you should not take into consideration too much is indicators, because half the people out there don't bother indicating anyway. They seem to think it's some kind of decoration on the car. So don't rely on indicators. Rely on the two S's. I've plenty of videos on knowing when to pull out. You can search on YouTube there for them, or email me and I'll send you a link to those videos, okay? But practice makes perfect on that. Pablo there again. Just want to say thanks for your videos. You're very welcome. Really calmed the nerves before the test. All the best, and all the best to you too, Pablo. Best wishes, and you're most welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Dean Clark, passed my test last Monday, Dane. Drive like Dane. Yeah, get in lane with the great Dane, folks. And I mean that here on YouTube, as I don't really do driving lessons myself anymore. I do a small few lessons to a select few people in Wexford Town. That's all, people who I know or who my family knows. But I mainly focus on YouTube. I have two YouTube channels now, so this and another one. So that's my main focus. But I'm still a driving instructor. I'm still registered. I still keep up to date with all the things, and I still do lessons to keep one foot in the game. But thank you very much, Dean, and well done. Congratulations. IOBK, can you be failed for stalling? No, you cannot be failed for stalling. But if you stall and roll back into a bunch of school children, you probably will fail. So you need to be understanding the following point. Stalling itself is not failing, it's how you react to it and how bad it was afterwards. If you just stall a little bit and you don't roll back that much, and you get your handbrake up quick and you start the car up quick and you get on with the test and you don't have a meltdown, you'll probably be okay. Now you may still fail because you might pick up other marks, or you might you might be successful. Hopefully you will be, but you will not fail for stalling alone. Okay, please don't think that. Um, like you'll probably fail if you run a red light. You'll probably fail if you nearly knock down a pedestrian. You'll probably fail if you mount the curb and drive on the grass verge of a curb or something like that. But they're all extreme examples. Stalling itself is not a fail. It's what happened after that is what will be the deciding factor. Nemesis has a long comment here. Hi then, I got a grade 2 on reaction to hazards. Yeah, that's a common one. Because a garbage truck parked on the left side of the road just after a left turn on a T junction. Okay. I slowed down for it, but didn't stop fully. I signaled right, observed my mirrors, and moved to overtake the truck appropriately, but still got the grade 2. Should I have stopped fully with these types of situations? Possibly. But I'm just looking to see if you have another comment down there. No, you don't. Okay. So you see, I'm not sure because every situation is unique. You didn't mention anything about oncoming cars, did you? You see, you slowed for a rubbish truck. Slowed down, didn't fully stop, signaled right, observed mirrors, moved out, still got the grade. I'm not sure why you got a grade 2, but are you sure it was for that and wasn't a grade 2 for something else, maybe? Some people think that they get grade 2s on certain marks, on certain incidents, and it could easily be an instance or for something completely different. It sounds to me there, Nemesis, that you did everything right. The only thing I'll ask you is if you can comment on, because I might be signing off here in about 10 minutes, but if you're still there, what was the situation with oncoming cars, and could you see clearly down the road? Okay, because if you overtook the truck when you were a bit blind, or if it was a bend, it could be a grade 2 then. So if you can give me a little more information on oncoming cars and how blind it was, and was it on a bend or something like that. But it sounds there like you did most things right anyway. Zara Casey. Hi Dane, I got 10 faults. My main feedback was observation and needing more time on the road. Yeah. So, okay. How much practice do you think I need before my next test? I'm an essential worker. Well, Zara, sorry to hear you weren't successful on this particular occasion. Um, how much practice you need? It depends on what sort of a driver you are and your situation. Do you have your own car? Do you practice with a partner or a parent or something like that? I don't know. I don't know you, so I can't answer you definitively on that. But I would say there, if you only got 10 marks, okay, you're only 2 marks over the threshold. So you're obviously a fairly capable driver who just didn't necessarily have a good day on that day. Observation, okay, so you must need to move the head more. Maybe check the blind spot more moving off, or get a better blind spot moving off. Keep an eye on those two things. And needing more time on the road. Yeah, so I know what that means. Like, like some drivers, they're kind of like, how would you describe them? They're kind of like, for any football fan out there, it's like kind of like Everton in the Premier League. Like Everton are a good side. They're a decent side. They're kind of like top 6, top 7, top 8, but they're never really going to be Premier League champions. Never. I mean, I suppose it could happen to what Leicester did, but so that's kind of like it's kind of like you're an Everton as such. In back to driving terminology, I would have lots of drivers who would be quite a good driver, quite a capable driver, kind of like maybe in the intermediate bracket, well able to drive. I could go on any road with them, but they'd just be a little bit rough around the edges for the test. So I would say if you were to get 4 or 5 good weeks of solid practice with a lesson a week, and then maybe 2 or 3 lessons the week of the test, I'd say that would be enough for you, Zara. But it's hard for me to say because I don't know you or your weaknesses. But it sounds to me if you only got 10 there, you're pretty close. So if you follow my advice there on practice and lessons, I think you'll have a good chance next time. And the best of luck to you. You can email me there if you want any more detailed information, and I can link in some videos to you by email. Okay, folks, so I'm going to just get the few more comments here then, folks. I'm going to have a summary of my myths up there, and then we'll call it a day. Let's see then. I'll try to get through all the comments anyway. Shuryar Kaiser, have 10 years driving experience doing my 12 lessons. Don't have a car to practice on apart from my lessons. Any advice will be great. So if you don't have a car to practice in, your only real option then is practical driving lessons, as well as these videos and reading over your theory and road signs and rules of the road book. Unless you were to shop around and ask for insurance quotes or see what happens there. Sometimes you might get a good quote from AXA or Aviva because they have their own driving schools, so you might be able to get a decent quote off them. I don't know if you've worked that out. But you know, your options are pretty limited. If you can't get practice, or you don't have a car, you're just going to have to get lessons. That's what they're there for. That's what driving instructors are there for. And you know, just be patient because you know it will happen for you. You just have to be patient. Rory Barry, can you outline the changes to the driving test due to COVID? Yes, indeed, Rory. Well, you know, there's not that much of a change. I go through this in detail in my video there about 2 or 3 months ago. It kind of has a yellow thumbnail, and let me see, I'll find it here. It has a yellow thumbnail, and it has, I think on the front, it's test failure explained, okay? And there's a picture of me in it with an L plate as well. So I'll just show you maybe the thumbnail so you know. And in that video, then I go through the main differences now post COVID, like with hand washing and all that kind of stuff, you know. So let's see, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? But basically, there's not a huge amount of differences, to be honest with you. There, the main things is that about hand washing and face masks and that kind of stuff. So let's see, where is that video? Here, okay. So see the yellow one there. I don't know if you can see that now. The light is not the best. See, do you see here this one here, test failure explained? So if you go into that one there, you will see I will go into a detail there about what the things are like with since the COVID came in. But basically, anyway, the main changes are the tester will ring you before the test while you're waiting in the car park. So make sure you turn up nice and early, be at least 10-15 minutes early. Have your phone on you because the tester will ring you. He'll bring you into the test center then. There will be hand washing. He'll probably give you a face mask. You'll have to wash your hands. You have to sanitize the permit before you give it to him. He'll probably do the checks outside the car. So when he's asking you about the heaters and the hazard lights and all the technical checks, he's probably going to do that standing outside the car. The tester may have wipes, so he may be wiping the seat belt holder or the seat adjuster or things like that. Tester will be wearing a face mask, of course. The tester may stand outside the car when you're doing the reverse around the corner, so he doesn't have to be in close facial contact with you when you're turning around to look behind on the reverse around the corner. But they're the main ones. Yeah, there's not really that much of a difference apart from those ones there. So anybody else that's had any experience, just please let us know in the comment section. Neve D then, just want to say thanks Dane actually, but I get the message. Passed my test in February and had found all your videos so informative and easy to learn from. I had lost all confidence that I would pass, but I did. Thanks. You're very welcome, Neve. That is great news. Glad to hear that. That was February. What are we in now? October. Yeah, first that was before I made my return this year. Yeah, so good. So that's great news though. Congratulations on passing, and you know, safe travels for you. And thanks for the comment. I am 5 then. Passed my test 2 weeks ago. That's great news. Thanks to you. I really appreciate everything you do. Well, you know, that's why they call me the Great Dane. And congratulations, I am 5 on passing. You're very welcome. Ronnie Capel, would you fail if you gently hit the curb while doing a 3-point turn? My instructor said that it would be a fail. Well, your instructor is wrong, okay? Wrong. If you hit the curb gently on the turnabout, it is not a fail, okay? It's not. It will be a mark, okay? It will be a mark against you, but it's not a fail as long as it's gentle and you don't mount the curb or you don't, you know, go up on the curb, and as long as you don't hit it at speed, okay? There will be a certain amount of discretion but the tester will use a certain amount of discretion there, okay? So like, you know, the tester will decide at the end of the day whether it's a fail or whether it's not. But please don't go thinking just because you hit the curb gently you fail your test. That's not the case. You probably will get a mark for misjudging the space, and you'll probably deserve that, but you mustn't give up. You have to keep going, because if you give up and you just kind of stop trying and stop concentrating, you're probably more likely to make further mistakes then. And in a weird way, it will fail you then because you've let the situation beat you, you know. So Just bear that in mind. You have plenty of time and plenty of opportunity to recover if you only gently hit the curb. The tester will be more interested probably in how you react after the curb than the actual process of hitting the curb. Wojciech Vrobel, for all complaining, pass rates in Ireland are not that bad. Ireland 55%, pass UK 45, Poland 35%. Yeah, I wasn't really sure about that, and thank you for sharing that, Wojciech. That's good. Might come as a surprise to you folks, but I have little or no interest in pass rates. My aim here is to make good quality, free videos. Free. Everybody loves getting something free, okay? This is what you're getting, something free. Free emails. Anybody emails me, I do not expect anything from them. I will gladly answer your emails. Just, where's my finger? There it is. Email me there if you have any questions. I'll email you back the same day or the next day if not. But as Wojciech said there, the pass rates in Ireland are not that bad. I don't know. I can't verify that, but I trust Wojciech has done his research. He seems like a lad that knows how to dig up the right information from previous experience with him. I have little interest in that. I think you should be a good safe driver for life and not just a test anyway. That's what my banner says on YouTube. But thanks for sharing that, Wojciech. Dobra mężczyzna. Rigson Wangdak, I think. Hi Dane, do we need to indicate left at mini roundabouts if we are going straight at a three-way junction as we are going straight first exit? Yes, I would do that there. There's one of those, there's plenty of those in Wexford actually. So I would even just give a quick little indicator left. But don't bother doing that if you feel that your steering is going to suffer or it's in any way misleading for some reason. But it's always good to indicate left exiting the roundabout, okay? It can't do any harm for a start, okay? It's because it's the right thing to do. So if you're going, what you're saying, mini roundabout, going straight, yeah. So I'd follow the same process there, whether there's a first exit or if there's no first exit and you're just going straight first exit. When you get halfway through, just flick on the left indicator and it just lets people know that you're exiting then. So definitely, I would do that. Yeah, and either way, I wouldn't say that's a big deal anyway, Riggs, and it's not something that would be a deal breaker for a tester, but it would be good practice to do that. Yeah. Rory Barry, how many theory questions or road questions do you have to answer at the start of the test, and what happens if you get them wrong? You'll answer about 5 or 6, maybe more, maybe slightly less. It does depend on the test. I remember one tester, I think he asked the candidate about 3 of them altogether. And I had another fellow there about 2 weeks ago, and he asked him maybe 9 or 10. But the real answer is somewhere in between that, okay? So 5 or 6 questions, 5 or 6 road signs. If you get them wrong, it's no big deal. You lose a mark, but you won't fail the test just because you get a few questions wrong, okay? You have plenty of opportunity to make up for it. The most you can get is a grade 2 mark if you fail. Sorry, the most you can get is a grade 2 mark if you get the questions and road signs all wrong, okay? IM5 again, should I do fronting for my first year of insurance? Fronting? What's fronting? I mean, maybe I'm showing my age or something here, or maybe I'm out of the game a little bit long from thanks to YouTube. But if you can explain to me what fronting is there, IM5, I would be very grateful. I don't know what that means. Damaris Donny, hi then. I had my driving test last Thursday and I passed it. That's great news. So happy. Thank you for your advice on YouTube. I suppose you mean I am a great driving instructor. Well, thank you very much. You know that I am the great Dane after all. Congratulations on that, Damaris. You're very welcome for all the help. Glad I was able to play a part, and well done on passing. Great job. Oh yeah, I meant you're a great driving instructor. I will continue watching your videos. Though that's good because I'll try and have like different types of videos going forward. Might go in to do a few car reviews as well. Maybe maybe do a few interviews with people who have passed the test. We'll see. So I'll see where the channel goes next year, but I'll try and keep it interesting anyway. And thanks for the support. Sheryar Kaiser, I think it is. Just want to say thanks for all the videos and for taking the time to answer the questions. My pleasure, Sheryar, sorry. My email is there. If you need anything answered, just let me know. And thanks for getting in touch. Wayne Griffin applied for the test in early October in Navan. Still no date. Might be no harm to give him a ring, maybe, Wayne, or an email perhaps. Early October, Navan. Yeah, Navan sounds like it's a busy old spot now. Close to Dublin and all that. So In Wexford, you wouldn't be waiting that long now. You'd be only waiting about 12 or 13 weeks in Wexford, but in Navan could be a little bit longer, I'd imagine now. Yeah, and I'd say like Dublin and Galway, or you could be waiting an age there. So yeah, maybe try and get in touch with them when it is a good old stretch there. But having said that, early October, let me see, November, December. Well, I suppose it's not that long. You're like they do try and get you sorted within 16 weeks. So if you applied in early October and we're only in sort of mid December now, it's not that long. Like, it's in driving test terms, it's not that long, but I know it's long for you. Rory, Barry, Wayne, Griffin. So, or Rory had to wait 4 months. Yeah, that's not unusual too. Yeah, some people have to wait that long. Nemesis, hi Dane, thanks for that. The road is this about the hazard? The bin truck, was it? The road it was on is a bit narrow, but the oncoming cars were 300 metres away. I made sure I had clearance before moving off, so I was thinking I got the grade 2 for not stopping. Possibly there, Nemesis. Yeah, yeah, possibly. But I would be interested to see, did you pick up the mark for hazards for something else, like maybe you just have that in your head because um you remember that one and it sticks in your head, but the tester might have be thinking to himself, well, you did okay on that, but I'm actually marking it for something else, maybe, because it sounds to me there like you did everything right. I would only say you should have stopped there or held back if you couldn't see ahead, or if it was a bend or something like that, but it sounds to me like you had the right idea there. Prox then, hi then, failed my test last Thursday. Sorry to hear that. Was deflated as I've been driving like mad basically. 11 grade 2s. Tester said my driving was very good until I went over a pedestrian crossing when I thought it was clear. Oh, okay. Was the busiest I've ever seen the town, probably due to Christmas, and it's Benning 330. It was like merging, diverging road. The right had right of way and a lot of traffic, so I stopped before the crossing and waited and made sure there were no people. But it's blind anyways. A gap came, and then as soon as I moved out, a load of traffic students came. As I was on the crossing, I kind of panicked and I rolled back a slight bit. Got a grade 2 there. I was sure someone would beckon me since I was turning left and not going straight ahead. But no, then after this, I knew I made a mistake and let my driving go. Big mistake. I shouldn't let it got to me. I literally just said that like literally 5 minutes ago there, Prox. I don't know if you were listening. I'm sure you were. Some people, I think it was some guy was asking about the was it hitting the curb on a turnabout or something like that, and how that if you think you fail, and you basically condemn yourself to failing, you're probably going to switch off a little bit for the rest of the test, and you're not going to be focusing as much and not going to be putting in as much concentration, and in a strange way, the mistake that you thought was major but wasn't ends up defeating you anyway. So it sounds like that's what happened to you there, Prox, and I'm sorry to hear that. It sounds like you had a very busy time there, and you had an unfortunate incident there, and sadly you let the mistake get to you. Maybe if you had well, you'll know this next time, but if you had kept going and just kind of focused on what's in front of you instead of what's behind you, you might have had a chance to still pass it. Because let me go back to your first comment. Did you say you didn't fail by much? 11 grade 2s, like 11 grade 2. I mean, that's not bad. Like, I mean, it's a fail. I mean, it's not good enough to pass. Like, but you're only a few over the threshold. Like, so again, you're obviously a capable driver, and it just didn't happen to be your day on that day. So sorry to hear that, but hopefully you can learn from it now, and go forward and be better next time. Anya McGlinchey, I got an automatic fail for touching the curb. Never felt it, and if I did, it was very light. Yeah, it sounds like you were hard done by there, Anya. The I've spoken to many testers over the years, and they tell me that a light touch if you touch the curb lightly, it's not a fail. But then again, I remember doing a lesson one time with somebody, and he was doing a turnabout, and just as he was finishing the turnabout, he went up on the curb. The whole wheel went up on the curb, and then he came back off it. But he hadn't a clue that he'd done it. Only for I told him about it, and I showed him how low the curb was, and it was a really, really, really low curb. Like you'd barely feel that you did it, but he completely went over. Like he completely went up on it and over. It was like so low. It was like kind of like the driveway you go into, that kind of way. But it was still a curb, but a very low curb. Some people they just don't feel it. But if it was, you know, every situation is unique. And sorry to hear that on you. Some people, if they go up on the curb and they don't know it, they end up wondering what the hell happened there. Back to Prox then, the tester said he thought my observation was perfect and to book a new test as soon as possible. But a bit down in the dumps, could have passed if I reacted better. Yeah, sorry to hear that. That's very unfortunate. Prox, I remember that. I remember your name from before. I think you've been on a good few live streams here, and sorry to hear that now. But you just have to you have to not get too down, not stay too down in the dumps. You have to kind of pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and just say to yourself, "I'm gonna go again and again and again until I get this thing," and learn from the mistake that happened today. Because what happened you or the last test, sorry, what happened you in the last test is probably very very unlikely to happen to you in the future. So I always say to people don't fail tests. You either succeed or you learn, and you've just learned a good lesson there. So hopefully you can take that information with you and use it as fuel to pass the next time. Okay, so let's get through a few more comments, folks, before we get on the home straight here. IM5, I think here again. Yeah, fronting. Oh yeah, fronting is when you buy your own car, but put a parent as the main driver. Oh, I see. Yeah, and you yourself as a secondary driver at 18. Um, it is very hard to find a decently priced quote. 3,000 compared to 1,500 is a huge saving. Yes, I see what you mean. I wasn't. I know the policy. I know the type of thing you're getting at there. Um, just I'd be encouraging to make sure that's all okay with the insurance company, because I've a close relation that works in insurance, and she said to me, like, if you're doing that kind of stuff, you have to make sure you're being honest with the insurance company, because if ever there's an accident in future and you pretend you're not the main driver when you are the main driver, it could come back to bite you in the backside if there's a crash in the future. So I would be encouraging you there to be very careful with that fronting thing. You don't want to accidentally invalidate your insurance if there's an accident in the future. So just make sure you do your research on that. Shop around. Hooper Dolan in Waterford is good. Hooper Dolan. Um, Aviva can be good. Liberty maybe if they're still doing it. And check out the Aviva driving school as well. They have good quotes too. Prox. I'm five or I am five. Sorry. Try AXA. Yeah. Yeah, AXA can be good too. Yeah, they have their own ISM instructors as well, so you might get a deal with ISM there as well. Aaron McAvoy, if you fail your test, is there a certain time to wait to resit it? I think it's 2 weeks. I'm not. I've heard this before, Aaron. I am not actually 100% sure. I think it might be 2 weeks or 10 days. Yeah, but there is a certain small amount of time. But it's not really. I mean, it's not really that relevant these days, because I mean the waiting list is so long nowadays. I think you'll have to wait more than what the minimum is anyway. But I think it's 2 weeks. I'm not 100% sure. Wayne Griffin then says, "Thank you, very welcome, Wayne." Okay, folks, so I'll be signing off there now, folks. I'm just going to be finishing up a few bits here, and I'm going to summarize the myths up above, and then I'm going to call it a day. I'll try and get the comments done first. There's a load of comments there. I'm just going to kind of catch up on them. PJ, do you believe that a test on New Year's Eve morning will be quiet? I'd say probably, well, New Year's Eve. I wouldn't think so. No, I wouldn't think so. I'd say people will be out stockpiling all that kind of crack, panicking and buying and all that stuff. But it depends on the area, you see. It all depends. It depends on the town you're talking about. I'm not really 100% sure. Hi, Dane. Paggle. Paggle Zorro, is it? Failed last month. Sorry to hear that. 3 grade 2s on clutch and gears. Tester told me I was hard on the gear or something, which I don't understand. So you may have been moving the gear stick too hard, perhaps. Maybe you came off the clutch a little bit too quick and caused the car to jerk and jump. Some gear sticks, when they go from second to third, are a little bit stiff. They can be hard to move. Maybe you kind of shoved it in a little bit too hard. I would think there maybe you were in the wrong gear, or you were in an inappropriate gear or something like that. But If you're hard on the gear, yeah, I don't know. Like it depends. I'm not really sure. Hard on the gear, maybe he felt you were just moving the gear stick too hard or something. You know. Just whenever you're moving the gear stick, make sure you have your clutch in fully. Okay. I remember some people years ago when I was doing lessons, they were trying to move the gear stick, but he only had the clutch in about 3/4 of the way. You have to make sure your clutch is in the full way. If your clutch is in fully, your gear stick will move a lot easier then. Okay. So just try and remember that. Rigson. Wangdak, hi Dane. If we want to take a left turn on a dual carriageway, do we need to drive straight until the left arrow marks road? Is it okay if we change lanes to the left before reaching the arrow marks to the left? Okay, I'm going to have to read this again. If you want to take a left on a dual carriageway, okay. Do we need to drive straight until the left arrow marks the road? Is it okay if we change lanes to the left before we reach the left arrow marks? Oh God. I'm not sure, Riggs, on what you're saying. You have to be careful that you obey the road. Like, I don't know if you're talking about an urban dual carriageway where you could be like in an urban slow moving one, or if you're talking like about a ring road or something like that. At all stages, you have to obey the road markings, and you have to, if ever you're in doubt, always start in the left lane and stay in the left lane if you're in doubt. But if you want to take a left on a dual carriageway, I'd assume that you just try and be in the left lane as much as possible. Waiting until the left arrow marks the road. I don't know. It depends on the road. You see, it all depends. You know, I can't really answer that because it's every situation is unique. You know, I would just encourage you just to be. If you're taking a left, you're probably going to be more likely to be in the left lane. Prox, I am 5. No, oh, he's just talking I am 5 there, yeah, and his quote, yeah. Prox then says, cheers, Dane. Yep, that was it. I picked up loads of marks after that. Yeah, unfortunately, stalled 3 times. Oh, God almighty. Stalled 3 times after that. But thanks for the advice. I got a date for January 9:30. Should be a lot calmer. Yeah, hopefully so. And my email is there. Let me know if you have any questions on that, Proc. And the very best luck to you in the new test. So that you'll hopefully use the information and use it as fuel to light the fire next time. Kenny Kehin, I'll just go with Kenny there. Hi Dane, please do you know if the tester could ask this question about the legal limit for tyre tread depth in Ireland? Yes, he could. I haven't heard him been asked too much in Wexford, but it certainly is a question. Excuse me, that could be asked. The legal minimum tyre tread depth is 1.6 millimeters, but that's only the minimum. You should never let it get to that low. So it is potentially a question you could ask, yeah. And then Proc says he got asked this and said about the tyre condition, make sure there's no damage to the sidewalls, yeah, no bulges, that kind of stuff, yeah, exactly. Thanks for that, Prox. And last one there then, Maeve Duke, I think, booked my driving test for February. Any top tips? Love your videos. Top tips, get some professional driving lessons off a locally based instructor, first of all. Look ahead, plan ahead, look behind on the reverse around the corner, don't look in the side mirrors too much, avoid sudden and late braking, move out gradually for parked cars. There's so many tips, Maeve. I could be all day giving you tips, but if you want to email me, my email there, danetyghe@gmail.com, I can give you some more detailed tips based on what you're worried about or based on your own weaknesses that you feel you have with driving. But the very best luck to you, Maeve. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments of any of my videos or email me there. And your test is in February, so you have plenty of time, really. You know, you have loads of time there to be getting lessons and getting practice. So you've loads of time to get ready there. Okay, folks, so we're going to call it a day there now. I want to just quickly go through the myths up here again before we finish. So these are some of the myths that people have about the driving test. So briefly, like, are there any quotas? Do the driving testers have a certain amount of people that they have to fail every week, every day? Absolutely not. Complete rubbish. If you're good enough, you'll pass. If not, you won't. If you stall, hit the curb, roll back, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a fail. It all depends on how much you stalled by or how much you rolled back by. Don't feel that you're going to fail just because you make a mistake like stalling, hitting the curb, rolling back. If you see the tester writing or tapping on his iPad, don't worry. He could be just typing the date in. He could be just doing something with his settings. He could be giving you a grade 1 mark. Don't dwell on the tester. Look ahead. Focus on your driving. Um, some driving candidates feel hard done by. Remember, sometimes it's hard to remember everything. So I've had driving test candidates who failed, and they feel frustrated at the time, but when they reflect back on it a couple of days later, sometimes the things come back to them that they failed on. So it's hard. It's just hard straight after the test to feel that, because you probably find it hard to remember things. Don't drive too slow. If you drive too slow in the driving test, you're probably going to end up failing. Just drive normally. The tester doesn't want to see a slow driver. He wants to see a proper driver. If you take a wrong turn, don't dwell on it. Don't focus on it. The tester will get you back on track and try and get you on the right track. It won't be a mistake, or it may be a small mistake, but it's not going to be a fail if you take a wrong turn. So just keep going. Don't focus on the wrong turn. Focus on what's ahead of you, okay? We all make mistakes. If you make a mistake and take a wrong turn, it's okay. You can make up for it later. There's no difference if you use the instructor's car or you use your own car. There's no real difference. As long as you have a car that's legal, that's roadworthy, that has a tax disc, all that kind of stuff, the tester doesn't care what car you use, as long as it's legal. You don't have any extra chance of passing with an instructor's car or your own car. Just drive the car that you feel most comfortable in. Drive the car that's most reliable. Certain instructors, no, listen. It doesn't matter what instructor you go to. The driving testers will test you based on your driving ability. He's not interested in whether you use the instructor's car. He's not interested if you get lessons with instructor A or B. He's interested in what your driving is like. Okay, and if you get the theory wrong, don't worry. If you get the theory wrong, the most you can get is a grade 2 mark. Okay, it's nice to get off to a good start. It's nice to get your questions and road signs right. But if you get the theory wrong, please don't think you failed. Just keep focused, keep concentrating. The most you can lose is a mark anyway if you get the theory wrong, okay? But the practical driving part is where most of the marks will be lost and gained on the test, okay? So if you get the theory wrong, just keep going, don't dwell on it. Okay, a few more comments. Maeve, you're very welcome, Maeve. Thomas O'Hanlon, passed test, only 3 marks. Well done, Thomas. Jeez, Thomas got it right there at the end, didn't you, Thomas? Fair play to you. That's congratulations there. Great achievement. And lastly, I think Rigzin Wangdak, I think. What a great name, actually. I appreciate and thank you for your driving advices. You're very welcome, Rigzin, via YouTube. Watching very often, yet you are also steering people's life on the right path. Great job and looking more ahead. Well, thank you very much, Rigzin. What a nice comment to finish off 2020 on for the live streams. So folks, I will be taking a small break from the YouTube videos for the rest of the year. I'll be back with you in January, hopefully the first or second week of January, okay? So I will be back. I'm not going to be giving up this channel. I'll be back in January, and my email is there if you have any questions on driving, if you have any queries about the test, just send me an email or comment on any of my YouTube videos and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thomas O'Hanlon did the test in Clonmel. Very well done, Thomas. Clonmel's a great town. I think they have the most one-way system in Ireland in Clonmel, and I think traffic flows pretty freely there, especially now that the place doesn't flood as much. So great stuff, Thomas. Well done there. I know Clonmel fairly well. Clonmala, the meadow of the honey, it's called, Oscuelga. So congratulations, Thomas. So anyway, folks, just to sign off, thank you so much for being with me throughout all these live streams throughout the latter half of 2020. It's been a pleasure. Wayne Griffin, happy Christmas. Happy Christmas to you too, Wayne. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be with you. It's been a pleasure to guide you in the right direction. I've really enjoyed it. I'd like to wish anybody out there who has a driving test coming up the very best luck. Believe in yourself, think ahead, plan ahead, get lessons, and you can do it, okay? And if you don't do it, well, then you'll do it next time, okay? So the very, very best luck to anybody out there learning to drive. Best luck to anybody doing a test. A very happy Christmas, and thanks for being with me this year, and I'll see you all in January.